Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Weekly Wrap for the week ending July 3rd. My name's Stephanie Taylor from APEX Media, and I'm standing in for Marianne Simpson.
And I'm Seth Miller, founder of PAXX.area. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thanks for having me, Seth.
It's great to have a new voice on the air.
So, I know, but I'm going to start off with some bad news first. It was announced by the San Diego Convention Center that they've decided to cancel the APEX EXPO, which was going to be in October. So what the association are doing is they're surveying all the members to see what general consensus is for next steps. And if you want to find out more about that, then you can go to expo.apex.aero. But on the plus side, their elections for board of directors are still going ahead. So, that info's there if you're interested.
Well, definitely sad news that we're not going to be able to meet in person this year, but certainly understandable. Moving on to sort of broader industry news, July 1st seemed to be sort of a magic date, and a lot of different airlines resumed levels of service, and especially on the ground. We had a lot of new lounges reopening, opportunities coming back for passengers, and it's not just regional, it's very much a global phenomenon.
Absolutely. So Air Canada and Finnair were some of the ones who opened on July 1st. And I think it's really great for passengers that they're going to start seeing some more creature comforts creeping back into their journey.
Absolutely. And, Qantas also opened 11 of its lounges on the 1st. And what's interesting there is they highlighted some of the changes of the in-lounge experience that passengers can expect. The buffet is gone, and it has been replaced with an all-day snacking station, which for those of us who have been working at home all these days sort of just sounds like the stool in the kitchen. But it's a wait staff sort of situation. There's employees available to help make sure passengers get the snacks they want. There's also menu service available if you want a sort of more substantial meal. So it's an interesting shift. And to me, really, the question that I sort of am wondering about is what the future is like for that. And especially with Qantas, we had Stephanie Tooley, who's their chief commercial officer, say this is sort of the new normal, at least for now, but also that it's not going to be this way forever, potentially. And so sort of trying to figure out whether it's government regulations or business decisions that will make things different again. And she specifically highlighted the pancake machine might be coming back, so breakfast could get better again.
I would be looking forward to that if I was travelling with Qantas. And it's a new normal for Emirates as well. They reopened on-ground services for their premium passengers, so they're doing pretty much the same thing where they are moving the space between the seats, so it's going to be reduced capacity, no snacking station, but the meals are going to be in hygienically sealed boxes. But another interesting thing that they're doing is reopening their chauffeur drive service. So it's going to be a lot of work for them, extra work, I think. So they've said they are going to do a deep clean of the vehicles at the end of every day. But between each journey, they're going to have to clean the high touch areas. So that's the headrest, the seat back pocket, and even the passenger's luggage, they said. And if you request a child seat, it's going to come shrink wrapped after it's been disinfected. So like I said, a lot of extra processes and stuff, but we saw earlier this year that actually, those high net worth individuals who maybe were flying up front with Emirates, if they can afford private charter, they will do that maybe over going in a public cabin. So Emirates kind of does have to pull out all the stops to keep those premium passengers flying with them.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of work and a lot of investment, but the value proposition for getting those big spenders back on board is huge. And we're seeing some of that roll over to airports as well. Toronto's Pearson International is one of the airports we've spoken with a bit about how they're making changes and what they're calling the Healthy Airport Commitment. And it's a huge undertaking. It is truly a massive bit of work, but something that they're working with partners and sort of doling it out into small bits and sort of accomplishing each one as they go and helping make sure that every bit can be managed and handled. And they partnered with Wipro for some of the wearable stuff in terms of keeping track of things. They're dealing with social distance measuring and even an anonymous case log of all the incidents to make sure that they can keep track of everything.
Yeah, so we caught up with Dwayne Macintosh, who's Director of Corporate Safety and Security at Greater Toronto Airports Authority. So Dwayne, it's great to see you.
Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here today.
So Dwayne, can you give us a little bit of idea, just for context, where Pearson is relative to last year in terms of passenger count and aircraft count, and then sort of getting a little bit to how you think that the new commitment is going to play in terms of getting passengers back into the airport and into the air?
Our passenger volumes at this time last year were 130,000 on average per day. And today we do about 10,000 people per day. People want to travel. They want to see the world. They want to visit their friends and family. They just want to know that it's safe to do so. And I believe the work that we are doing here at Toronto Pearson and the rest of our colleagues that are working in the industry will make a difference, and people will feel confident again to travel.
So what exactly does committing to being a healthy airport entail, and how many of the new procedures and initiatives are permanent, or are they just going to be temporary?
Yes, GTAA has definitely committed to being a healthy airport. What it means is that we adjust our processes, enhance our cleaning, and change the way that we do business to make sure that we gain the confidence and trust back of the traveling public. There's been many initiatives that we have started over the last 6 weeks. We've enhanced our air handling systems, we've invested in UV technologies, our cleaning processes are some of the best in the world. We are investing in technologies that will help to increase hygiene standards in our facilities. We have signed partnerships with companies such as Blue Dot, which is an infectious disease tracker and allows us to have that visibility around the world to adjust our operations in an early fashion. We've installed plexiglass throughout our facilities, and we are limiting access into our terminals to only those that are traveling. And finally, we are ensuring that everyone, regardless of whether you're a passenger or staff, are wearing masks to ensure the safety of all. Will these be here for the long term? Nobody has a crystal ball to say. But I can assure you that, like always, we will adjust the best practices to fit the needs of the traveling public, both currently and going forward.
It certainly sounds like technology is playing a huge role in this transformation, this effort. What types of insights are you gaining from the Blue Dot product, and how do you use it?
Blue Dot is a key partner of Toronto Pearson's, and we are very excited to see what we can learn from each other and how we can take that information and integrate that into our operation. Blue Dot has the capability of monitoring for infectious diseases around the world in real time. And Toronto Pearson having that information available to them at their fingertips will allow us to adjust our operation, to work with our airlines, and to work with our local public health authorities to deal with these issues in real time. We're very excited and looking forward to the future of this partnership.
Yeah, and airport workers seem to have been massively involved too. So where did they come in terms of helping to create the initiatives, and how will it affect them?
Toronto Pearson is not only committed to the safety and health of its passengers, but the safety and health of its employees. The relationship that is held with the Workers' Council here at Toronto Pearson is critical to our success. We work side by side with them to determine processes and procedures that will allow us all to work safely. And the work that they have done with us has been critical, and we could not have achieved the success from the Healthy Airport launch without them. Thanks to the Workers' Council, and we will continue to have this relationship as we go forward. We're very grateful.
Thanks so much for that, Dwayne. It really does sound like Pearson is taking some innovative steps here and moving forward in the process.
And Seth, you mentioned innovation, and somewhere that has always been rife for innovation, I think, is among students. So I didn't actually know this, but PriestmanGoode, the design house, team up with the Royal College of Art in London each year. So they've just done some work with some textile students doing their master's degree. And this year, the brief was to create a luxury sustainable material for the transport environment. And they've come up with some really interesting ideas. Now, the winner was Yanji Zhang, and she came up with tons of different use cases for alginate fiber, which is obviously created from algae. So there's hopefully a video playing now from PriestmanGoode where you can see the different use cases, and it is everything from tissues to the fabric for a seat back to solid cutlery. And it also surprised me to learn that algae is being used in medicine anyway, because it has antibacterial properties, it's a deodorizer, and it can also help to keep people warm. So it kind of seems like a dream material for travel.
Yeah, I think there's some, getting the durability to the place it needs to be to stand up to thousands of butts and seats over the years is certainly a challenge, but definitely a cool development. There were a couple other finalists that I saw in the presentation that looked really interesting to me as well. So Kim has a design for plant-based cutlery packaging, and it includes a little biodegradable hand sanitizer ball in there as well. So it comes full thing together, and you sort of prick the skin of the hand sanitizer, and it oozes out, and you get clean along the way. And also, Yumi Choi did some really interesting work with glass beads as part of stress balls, seat covers, and neck pillows. And the beading adds both style to the offerings and also practical considerations from sort of a stress relief. It's a tactile thing. It's also easily sterilized and reused. So some interesting combinations there.
I think that's really cool. I love the idea of kind of beading in the cabins. I think it can just add, it just would make everything 3D, isn't it? It's not something I've seen before. A stress ball is always welcome during turbulence. While we might not be seeing those in the cabin for a while, we are always talking about going to the toilet in the cabin, it seems. And PXCom have come up with a new solution for digital lavatory queue management, haven't they, Seth?
They have, and Marianne and I talked about this somewhat jokingly a couple weeks ago on the show, and it turns out maybe we shouldn't have been laughing so much because it's a real thing now. The idea is just to try to reduce passenger interactions on airplanes, right? The face-to-face is where people are concerned about health, and people gathering in areas, and especially in small areas like back near the labs, is a challenge. And so PXCom is an IFEC software provider. They've come up with a lot of sort of digital solutions in the industry, and their latest one is 4 different modules to help reduce some of that passenger-facing interactions. And lavatory queuing is one of them, and basically you select the I need to go button or screen. You get to pick which type of bathroom usage you need, and then you're assigned a slot in the queue. And when it's your turn, you're then alerted, hey, it's time to get up and go. And so it does help reduce the crowding. Certainly not a perfect solution, but tap to pee. It's the wave of the future.
Or there's also an emergency button, isn't there? So I wonder if you click emergency, if you get to skip the queue. And if passengers latch onto that, then maybe they'll be cheating and everyone pressing emergency, but we'll have to see. I think it's also interesting that Cyril Jean, the CEO, said they were designing a similar concept for people hanging out in the aisles on long haul flights, because I am one of those annoying people who goes to the back of the cabin and does some stretching. And so maybe I will have to get in the queue for that too.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of different options there. There's a chatbot sort of option as well for seat-to-seat chat or passenger-to-crew chat, and even an option to notify passengers row by row or seat by seat when it's their turn to get off the plane after landing. So some interesting options there, some creative stuff. Who knows what'll actually fly, but great, again, to see the innovation happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. So we are coming to the end of the show, and our final thought is about face coverings. So most airlines are getting more aggressive with their enforcement, and Alaska's trying to keep it simple for people to understand. They've gone with a football-esque solution, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, and I'm a little worried because it's the United States, and I'm not sure how many folks here actually understand getting booked in football, but if you violate the rules and choose not to wear your mask, you'll be asked by the flight attendant to comply. And if you continue to say no, they actually will yellow card you. So they will come over and hand you a card explaining that you have continued to break the rules, and that's the end of your in-person interaction. But consequences may be handed down to you on the ground, and that can include being prohibited from flying on the airline going forward. And I will say that American Airlines, Delta, and JetBlue have all indicated in the last couple of days that they have actively banned passengers through the end of whatever the face mask requirement is. So this isn't an idle threat. It is a real thing, and if you happen to do it on Alaska Airlines, you might get carded for it.
So less novelty potentially for US passengers than UK passengers. I'm sure they'd find that, whilst annoying, quite entertaining as well. But yeah, we'll see how that works too. So that's all we've got time for today. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.